In a world that constantly races forward, where chaos and uncertainty dominate the rhythms of life, and every moment brings new demands on our attention, emotions, and spirit, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism emerges not as a distant echo from history, but as a guiding light for modern souls searching for peace. It is in this ever-evolving, ever-challenging human experience that Stoicism teaches us one powerful truth. We are not victims of the world around us, but masters of the world within us. Stoicism, often misunderstood as emotionless or indifferent, is not about detachment from life, it's about engagement with life from a position of clarity, control, and inner strength. It's about facing hardship with dignity, success with humility, pain with grace, and uncertainty with courage. The Stoics didn't run from the storms of life. They stood in the rain and learned how to dance with the lightning. From the minds of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca came lessons that were not just for philosophers or emperors, but for every human being who wishes to live well and remain calm in the face of adversity. The first lesson we draw from Stoicism is that we must separate what we can control from what we cannot. Imagine how much time and energy we lose trying to fix the unfixable, change the unchangeable, or worry about outcomes that are beyond our influence. The Stoics teach us to draw a firm line between our actions, which are within our control, and external events, which are not. Once we embrace this, we liberate ourselves from unnecessary suffering. We no longer tremble when fate turns its back. We focus instead on our own thoughts, our own decisions, our own efforts. This is where our true power lies. We may not control the storm, but we can control how we sail. Another powerful Stoic truth is that our judgments shape our experience, not events themselves. It is not death that is frightening, it is our fear of death. It is not failure that hurts, it is our interpretation of failure. Stoicism urges us to examine our beliefs, to challenge the stories we tell ourselves about pain, loss, or hardship. By mastering our perspective, we reclaim authority over our emotional lives. You may encounter injustice, betrayal, loss, but if you can learn to strip away the narrative and see only the event, you will discover calm amid the chaos. The event is neutral. It is our judgment that gives it teeth. The third lesson teaches us that suffering often opens the door to growth. When life breaks us, Stoicism teaches us to rise, not in spite of our pain, but because of it. Every wound is a teacher, every failure a mirror, every disappointment a redirection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." These are not just poetic words. They are a roadmap for enduring adversity with a spirit unshaken. Instead of asking, "Why me?" the Stoic asks, "What can I learn from this?" With this mindset, we stop shrinking from discomfort and begin to grow through it. We realize the storm was never sent to destroy us. It came to reveal us. One of the most liberating Stoic lessons is this: you don't need more to be content. We live in an age of insatiable desire, where success is measured by accumulation. Yet the Stoics knew that happiness is not found in external things, but in a peaceful mind. Seneca reminds us that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. When we learn to appreciate what we already have, our breath, our freedom to choose, our capacity to love, we begin to taste real contentment. Simplicity becomes a strength, not a sacrifice. Gratitude becomes a daily practice, not a luxury. And calmness begins to bloom in our hearts, undisturbed by the chaos of craving. Equally important is the lesson that death is not to be feared, but understood. The Stoics faced mortality head-on. They meditated on death not to invite despair, but to sharpen their awareness of life. Memento mori, remember you must die, was not a morbid mantra. It was a call to live urgently, intentionally, fully. When you understand that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You speak with more love, you forgive faster, you embrace the moment more fully. Calm doesn't come from ignoring death. It comes from embracing its reality and allowing it to enrich your days with meaning. The Stoics also teach us that we are part of a greater whole. We are not isolated beings, drifting aimlessly. We are threads in a vast human tapestry. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that he was a part of the human community, not apart from it. This realization cultivates empathy. It humbles our pride. It softens our judgments of others. When we recognize our shared humanity, we stop being reactive. We become patient, compassionate, and strong, not because the world is easy, but because we've chosen to rise above the noise and act with wisdom. Another profound Stoic principle is the idea that virtue is the highest good. Fame fades, riches vanish, beauty withers, but virtue, your character, your integrity, your courage, this is yours forever. The Stoic seeks not applause but alignment with reason and goodness. Living virtuously brings calm because it roots us in purpose. When your conscience is clear, when your actions align with your values, when you act justly, speak honestly, and serve others without selfishness, then no storm can shake your soul. You become unbreakable not because life spares you hardship, but because you've trained your heart to do what is right, no matter the cost. Equanimity or emotional balance is another priceless Stoic lesson. It is the art of remaining undisturbed, not numb, not indifferent, but grounded. Life will test you with praise and insult, victory and defeat, gain and loss. The Stoic learns to greet both impostors the same. He does not become arrogant in success, nor broken in failure. He observes his emotions without being enslaved by them. Like a tree rooted deep in the earth, he bends with the wind but does not break. Calm, for the Stoic, is not an accident. It is a discipline. A critical Stoic lesson for the modern age is this: don't waste time on what doesn't matter. Life is short. Every moment gone is gone forever. The Stoics lived with urgency, not haste, but purpose. They cut through distractions. They refused to be prisoners of triviality, social drama, pointless arguments, mindless entertainment. These were thieves of the soul. Instead, they devoted their energy to what truly matters, becoming wiser, kinder, better. Every sunrise was a fresh page, every breath a chance to begin again. The calm Stoic does not rush, but he also does not waste. He is present, deliberate, and awake to the gift of time. And perhaps one of the greatest lessons from Stoicism is this: you are stronger than you think. You have within you, right now, the strength to endure, to rise, to begin again. The Stoics believed that the human soul was forged for resilience. Epictetus, born a slave and crippled in body, became one of the greatest teachers of freedom. Marcus Aurelius, burdened with empire and grief, wrote meditations that still inspire millions. Seneca, tested by betrayal and exile, never surrendered his commitment to reason and virtue. You too can stand tall, even in your darkest hour. Calm is not the absence of struggle. It is the courage to face it with an inner flame that refuses to be extinguished. So when the world grows loud and uncertain, when fear grips your heart or anger clouds your mind, return to these Stoic truths. Remember that you control your response, that your judgments shape your experience, that suffering can become your teacher. Live simply, die bravely, love deeply, focus on virtue, practice gratitude, hold fast to your principles, and walk forward, not with trembling steps, but with calm resolve, because Stoicism is not about withdrawing from life. It's about entering it fully, prepared, courageous, awake. It's about facing whatever comes, triumph or tragedy, with a steady heart and a clear mind. The Stoic does not deny emotion, but he is not ruled by it. He does not demand certainty, but he finds peace in uncertainty. He does not seek to be unhurt, but to be unshaken. You are not a slave to fortune. You are not a prisoner of emotion. You are not a puppet of fate. You are a human being, with reason, with power, with purpose. And if you choose to walk the Stoic path, you will find that the calm you've been searching for has been within you all along, not in things, not in people, but in how you live, how you choose, how you endure. Let the world tremble, let the winds howl, let chaos come. You will remain calm, grounded, unmoved, stoic. And now, having embraced the core of Stoicism, let us walk deeper into the soul of this philosophy, not just to understand it, but to live it, to breathe it, to become it. You see, true calm isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you build, brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action. Each moment you choose discipline over impulse, reason over rage, acceptance over resistance, you are constructing that inner fortress. And the beauty is, no one can take it from you. No storm, no critic, no failure can reach the center of a soul fortified by wisdom. That is the Stoic promise. That is the reward of the disciplined mind. But this path is not easy. It demands that we leave behind the habits that have enslaved us for years. The constant need for validation, the addiction to outrage, the knee-jerk reactions to pain. Stoicism strips us down. It asks us to confront ourselves, to see our flaws not with shame, but with courage, and in that confrontation we become stronger, not overnight, but through practice, through repetition, through every small act of self-mastery. Think about it. How many moments in your life were ruined not by what happened, but by your reaction to it? The insult that echoed for hours, the failure that kept you awake for weeks, the slight that turned into a wound because your ego couldn't let it go. Now imagine if you had simply breathed, stepped back, and reminded yourself, this is outside my control, but how I respond, that is mine. That power was always available, it still is. The Stoic life is not passive. It's a life of intense intentionality. Wake up with a purpose, reflect on your values, remind yourself of what really matters. You don't need the world to be quiet to find peace. You need your mind to be still amidst the noise. This is what the Stoics did every morning. They meditated, journaled, prepared their minds for hardship, not because they were pessimists, but because they were realists who wanted to thrive, not just survive. They knew that the world would test them, that people would be cruel, that injustice would sting, but they also knew that their dignity, their peace, their strength, those could not be stolen, only surrendered. And they chose to never surrender. Stoicism is not a life without emotion. It is a life where emotion bows to clarity, where fear doesn't paralyze you but motivates you to act with courage, where anger doesn't consume you but reminds you to set boundaries with reason, where sadness is allowed but not allowed to rule. This balance, that is where calm is born, in acceptance, in awareness, in aligned action. And in that quiet space of calm, something amazing happens. You begin to hear your own soul again, not the voice of the crowd, not the fear of rejection, but your own inner compass, strong, clear, steady. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to live not to impress, but to express. Not to achieve fame, but to find fulfillment. Not to run from pain, but to rise above it. You begin to walk slower, speak wiser, and feel deeper. You listen more, react less. You stop needing everything to go your way. You no longer pray for ease. You pray for strength. And as that strength grows, so does your serenity. Because now, even when the winds blow, you don't crumble. You bend, you breathe, and then you stand tall again. That is the quiet power of Stoicism. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It speaks through the calm presence you bring into every room, the silence you hold when others panic, the grace you show when others fall apart. People will notice. They won't always understand it, but they'll feel it. And some will ask you, "How are you so calm?" And you'll smile because now you know. You've walked through fire and learned not to flinch. You've faced your flaws and did not look away. You've studied the ancients, wrestled with your own mind, and trained yourself in the art of presence. You've chosen purpose over distraction. You've chosen peace over reaction. And you've learned that real strength, true, lasting strength, comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering yourself. So keep walking this path, day by day, choice by choice. Hold close the wisdom of the Stoics. Not as distant philosophers, but as companions on this journey. Let Marcus Aurelius remind you to rule yourself before ruling others. Let Epictetus remind you that external events cannot harm your soul. Let Seneca remind you to live truly live before it's too late, and if the world tries to rush you, slow down. If the world tries to provoke you, breathe. If the world tries to distract you, return to your center. Return to your calm. Return to your reason, because in that space, untouched by chaos, untouched by fear, untouched by the noise of the world, you are free. You are unbreakable. You are stoic. And the world needs you now more than ever.